What are we doing now, Tasha?
So now we're going to make a solid chocolate bar inspired by the history of chocolate. So before in the hot chocolate, we looked at things like cinnamon and vanilla and chili, and those ingredients might have been substituted with other things. So for instance, if you couldn't get your hands on chili, you might want to use pepper.
Yep.
And originally, the sort of Mesoamerican origins of hot chocolate, they would use something called Amazonian ear flowers.
Exotic.
Which many of us have never heard of. I've certainly never tried them. So we're going to use rose petals and stand in for those.
Brilliant. So they will need crushing down in a pestle and mortar.
Yes.
So
let's do that.
The process we need to do, though, which is different to hot chocolate, is tempering the chocolate.
Yes.
Which is the recrystallization of all the crystals and molecules within the chocolate to make it shiny crisp, to make it emulsified so it's smooth, and most importantly so it shrinks. So it will come out of this beautiful mould which you have had commissioned.
Yes, the British Museum have very kindly recreated a section of the Parthenon frieze, which has been obviously scaled down. The original was much, much bigger.
But the detail is still there. There's some very, very fine hairs, like mane on the horse there, which will come off once the chocolate has been in there and it's come out. That detail will still be there.
So I put 2 teaspoons of the pink pepper.
Do 3 of the rose because there's quite a lot of chocolate there.
Yeah, let's do 3.
And that will add a delicate sweetness, and the pepper will add a bit of heat and spiciness. And it doesn't need to be ground to a powder, just smaller than the whole peppercorns so that it blends into the chocolate well. And we get good distribution of flavour.
Lovely. Oh, I got the smell coming.
It's an amazing smell. Right,
There we go.
so that goes to the side. That won't go into the chocolate until it's tempered.
Yep.
You'll see why. So we've got a marble slab, it could be granite, or a composite stone of some variety. This is so that the chocolate will cool down quickly. We've got chocolate, any percentage you like. We were talking earlier, you and I, privately, about liking 60 to 68% dark chocolate. It doesn't need to be 70 or above. Yeah. It would have been much higher percentage. These low percentages are quite a modern invention. So even doing it in 100% would still look beautiful, but you probably wouldn't eat it. You would have it as a display piece. So I'm going to tip out nearly all of the chocolate from the bowl, and in here is about 500 grams, half a kilo of chocolate, and it's been melting to about 55 degrees centigrade.
Actually, we should probably say as well, this is very different from the chocolate you can buy in the shop. So this is a cooked chocolate. So a lot of shop bought chocolate, if it's a packaged, well-known variety, will have other things added to it, so it will have different rules.
Yes, this is just cocoa beans, or cocoa mass, or cocoa liquor. They're all the same thing. Sugar, cocoa butter, and sometimes vanilla. So pure chocolate, milk or dark, or even white would work as well. So 55 degrees, feels warm but not hot. I'm going to tip out onto the slab, just over 2/3. So I'm leaving in the bowl some chocolate that's still in there. We need that for later. That warm chocolate is going to stop this chocolate setting solid. I've got a palette knife and a scraper. So chocolate's on the slab. We're going to spread it out to increase the surface area, and so the chocolate cools down rapidly to 27 degrees. This is the ooh and ah bit.
I can see how at home this might be a bit daunting.
It can be, but it won't go on the floor unless you push it on the floor. It's not liquid enough. Yeah. So all you do is spread it out, and then we started with a circle of chocolate in the middle, like that. We're going to scrape it all back in. Not really fast, just fluid movement, scraping it all back in. This is just the mixing part. If you had a tempering machine, it would melt the chocolate and mix it. We're doing exactly the same thing now. We've melted it, we've spread it, then we've mixed it. I'm tired now, so you can have a go.
Oh God, no. Come on. I can make a mess of this.
So you're going to scrape in, all the way in, and scrape off with your palette knife.
Off this one?
That's it. And scrape in and scrape off.
This is backwards for me because I'm left-handed.
You are. That's it does look slightly different. But it is just about keeping the chocolate moving, and this is building up the crystal structure of the chocolate and all the particles of the chocolate. And you can spread it out again. This with your palette knife, please.
It's in the wrong hand. I'm going to swap round.
That's it. So this could take 4 or 5 spreads, so about 5 or 6 minutes for it to start to crystallise. And you'll see the chocolate will begin to thicken dramatically once we get to that stage. But it is messy. Shall I jump back in?
He's the pro at work.
We just need to scrape everything from the edge in. If anything sets at the edge and you scrape it into the chocolate, it goes lumpy.
So which chocolate are you using?
So this is a chocolate which is fairly traded. It's from a company called Guittard in America, where the family still run it after 150 years. And they started with tea. So similar to what we were looking at earlier, where tea, coffee and cocoa were grouped together in grocery stores.
Yes.
Same thing happened there. So this, we know that the growers have got the right money, we know the quality of the beans is fabulous, and we know that what we're producing is something that is ethically sound. So we're nearly there. Can you see the difference now? It's much thicker. So when I let go of it, it's holding its shape. Before, it's spread into a disc. So we know now the temperature is nearly at 27 degrees centigrade, where chocolate wants to become a solid, but we're going to stop it becoming a solid. So now I'm going to take the chocolate off the slab. I do this by lifting my slab forward, and I'm going to scrape this back into our warm chocolate, which will stop this chocolate going solid. Without getting it on my shoes. Okay. And then anything left on here I won't put in because it will make the chocolate lumpy. Bring this back up and then stir. So we've got cool chocolate from the slab, warm chocolate underneath. Mix the two together and we get what's called a working temperature, and that should be 29 to 30 degrees for dark chocolate.
Lovely.
You can now add your lovely spice and rose petal blend into that. And I think we should use it all because we want it to taste really vibrant. Stir that through. And we're just going to wait to see if the chocolate sets on the palette knife evenly. It'll take about 2-3 minutes. If it does, we're ready to go. If it doesn't set at all, it's too warm. We'll have to temper again just by tipping a bit more out. Going again. And if it sets immediately, we might need to warm the chocolate up a bit. You can see the chocolate is starting to set. It starts from this side, the thin side, going that way with a nice satin sheen.
Lovely.
Which means we know the chocolate's tempered, so we can fill our mould.
Right.
So, normal spoon. So, equipment we've used is not too technical.
Nope.
We're going to fill the mould. You can pour, but I'm going to take a little bit of care because I want to make sure it gets into all the corners. We'll have enough chocolate here for 2 or 3 bars, I think. And now a really important part is to tap the mould. You see the air bubbles coming up. They're coming up from the bottom and we don't want them in the bottom. 10 to 15 minutes in the fridge.
Perfect. No longer.
No longer than 15 because it will get wet on the surface and that will ruin it. So 10 to 15 minutes in the fridge. We'll come back and we should be able to turn it out as a finished plaque of chocolate.
So it's been 15 minutes.
Exactly.
Yep, exactly.
To the second.
And off we go to get it from the fridge.
Let's get it. It's looking good. So it looks set. It's rigid. And what we need to do is just ease it. And I'm going to be really, really careful. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. That's amazing. Look.
That's incredible.
You can see, if you put the two beside, you can't really see all the detail on the mould, but as soon as it's made in chocolate, you get to see every single bit of detail.
Better than marble.
It is, but would you like to even highlight it even more?
I think we should.
With your very fancy brush, which I do love and I am keeping, and some edible powdered colour. And this will lift the whole thing. Unless there's more, put the lid there so you can dab the brush on the lid. With edible powders, they're metallics, and you just need a tiny amount, brush it across, and it just will bring this to life. Look at that. You get every little bit of hair on the horse's mane. That's beautiful.
Tiny touch.
Yeah. That's pretty impressive, isn't it? The detail is amazing. I'm quite pleased with that.
Thank you for watching the Pleasant Vices video about chocolate. Next week we have a video all about alcohol. For that and any past episodes, please click here. And to subscribe to the British Museum YouTube channel, click over here. Thank you for watching.